Hey everyone, welcome to week number 2 of virtual learning. I hope you enjoyed my video last week on how to make your own cereal box sketchbook. If you'd like to try out any of the other types of sketchbooks that I've instructed on, you can check out my YouTube channel and subscribe to it and smash the like button. Thank you to those that have sent in photos of your sketchbooks. That are really cool things have been made by you at home. If you'd like to check out the virtual gallery, I'll post a link to that in the classroom assignment on Google Classroom. Okay, this week in Mr. Lynch's virtual classroom, we are going to be building on some of our bookmaking skills from last week and creating a pretty fun project. So, to introduce this project, I'm going to show you this little book right here. It's called What Am I? Let's turn to page 1, shall we? Okay, yes, here we are at page 1, and we seem to have something kind of swirly. I see some colors. I see some, looks like green and orange, and maybe it kind of looks like a smoothie being blended. Maybe we'll find out more on page number 2. Page number 2 looks almost exactly the same. It seems that the image has changed a little bit, and for some reason there's no words in this book. I wonder why. Let's see what's on page number 3. Page number 3 is also very similar. Hold on a second, I'm gonna flip ahead in this book. Oh! It seems like it's changing a bit more in the middle of the book. I bet if we were to flip all of these pages at once at the same time, we might see a picture. Let's see what we find. It's a red-eyed tree frog! Amazing! I bet some of you have seen a book like this before. This is a flip animation book, which is pretty much a really early style of regular animation. You know how they make cartoons. Now they do most of that on a computer, but back in the day, people used to do this kind of thing on paper, oftentimes with pencils or paints. And for our challenge this week, I'm going to be challenging each of you to make your own flip animation book. And this could be something that is made inside of your sketchbook from last week, or it could be a brand new book that you make all on its own. So, without further ado, let's learn how to make a flip book. Okay. So to make your own flipbook, remember, this could be something that you put inside of your sketchbook from last week, but I'm going to show you how to make a separate flipbook that you can have outside of your sketchbook. So remember, in this little book that I have, the one that turns into a tree frog that talks at the end apparently, all of the pictures that are next to each other, most of them look almost exactly the same. And it's only when you flip them all together do you actually see it change. This is a flipbook that I made a couple years ago. It's called Taco Pizza. And one thing that I want you to notice is that the pages down here, they're all a little bit tapered. That kind of makes it easier to flip. And I'll show you what happens in this book. This is a small little drawing of a taco I did, and as I turn the page, the taco starts to transform into, you guessed it, a pizza. I actually numbered my pages in this book, which makes it helpful. Let's see if I can get the effect here. And at the end, we have a nice steamy pizza. The faster you move it, the more animated it appears. So this one is kind of sizable. It works a little bit better to make a smaller flipbook. So I'm actually going to start with a piece of paper. Again, notebook paper can work for this, or computer paper. I kind of have a little bit of stiffer paper. This is some drawing paper. If you have something like that at home, perfect. But if not, really any kind of paper would work fine. I'm going to fold this paper. Until I have a bunch of pretty small little rectangles. Just like that. And I'm going to cut those out. Okay, so I've cut out all of my pieces, made my paper into a bunch of tiny little mini papers. I'm going to stack them together, just like a deck of cards. And I'm going to try to taper them just a little bit. When I say taper, I mean make them almost line up, but not quite. Kind of like this. So you want one behind the other, but just a little bit of a taper makes it easier to make a flip book. But you don't want it tapered so far that you can't get a way to bind them. So this is pretty thick. If you have a stapler at home, you could staple this together, kind of like how I did with my taco pizza sketchbook or flip book. But I'm going to use something else. I have just a little, this is like a little butterfly clip used for just office papers and things like that. I'm going to try to clip mine together using a butterfly clip. Works pretty good. Now you might have one of these at home, and if you don't, you could use tape, you could use a rubber band, you could even use something like a hairpin, you could even take a little bit of glue stick and glue all these pages together. There's lots of different ways to bind a book. You can see I've got a pretty successful little tiny little flip book here. So now it's time to start creating my illustration. I like to usually start with pencil first. So for my flip book, I had this idea earlier just to start with something happening in the water. You can see I've made just a little wavy line that's kind of showing some water. Now remember, you really only have this much space to work with, since that's all you're really going to see as you flip the story. You're not going to really see what's happening over here, so you really want to focus on just the right side, or if you're left-handed, the left side of your book. So out of this water, I'm going to show a little shark fin. Now, on to my next page. I'm going to try to draw that shark fin in the exact same place, or the water in the same place, and the shark fin moving a little bit to the right. Okay. And you see I even made a little mark there, so that shows me about where my water should be. The effect is, it really makes for just maybe part of a second. You can see that my shark is swimming to the right,
then turns around, opens up his chompers, and grabs an ice cream cone
that somebody threw to him. Now, this could be something that you then go over in with Sharpie. Maybe then add some color. The possibilities are endless for your own sketchbook. I'm going to work on this a little bit longer, and I have some more pages in the back that I'm not quite done with, but I bet if I work on this for maybe a half hour, I could have a really cool little flip book. So maybe it's a title right here. Could be a good fitting thing, and maybe even little page numbers could work out nicely for this little flip book. If you create a flip book at home, which I hope each of you try, send along a picture to Mr. Lynch's email to be featured in the Van Hise virtual gallery. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. Let me know. Like and subscribe to the YouTube page, and we'll see you next week for your next online learning challenge. Thanks for watching.